Welcome back to the third segment of today's program here on the Taiwan Outlook. I'm your host, Rick Guo, where we'll continue our conversation with Professor Chen Yi-Hsin from the Graduate Institute of the Americas at the淡江University. Professor Chen, as we know, both China and Taiwan claim sovereignty over all of the South China Sea, while countries like Philippines and Vietnam claims part of it. What is the position held by the United States on this issue, as this is a very hot issue currently around the world?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think U.S. Position can be quoted, can be described as follows.
Okay.
U.S. will support collaborative diplomatic process to resolve the disputed claims of sovereignty over South China Sea. According to my understanding, China has agreed with the code, the formal code of South China Sea.
Yes.
And in year 2002, China further agreed the norms of conduct of the parties of the South China Sea. But recently, China is rising quickly. So I think China becomes a little more arrogant than ever before.
Aggressive. Also.
Yeah, aggressive and arrogant. So China, Luo Xiaotian, deputy SES in China, said that South China Sea is part of China's core interest.
Okay.
This angered the United States,
yes,
because the United States always insists that South China Sea and other public seas should be for safe and free passage. No one country can dominate a specific sea or ocean. So I think the United States, that's why the United States conducted a series of military drills with South Korea, yes, and many other military exercises. Okay, and that I think the main purpose for the United States to conduct such drills is to stop the excessive overconfidence,
yes,
or confidence of China and the excessive expansion of China.
Okay.
I think the United States has sent a clear message to China.
Yes.
South China Sea is not China's.
Yes.
Not the China's sole rights.
Yes.
It has to be open to all the countries. And the same is true for Yellow Sea.
Okay.
So I think that's why in recent days, recent months, the relationship between the two countries, two main superpowers,
yes,
have become a little
more tense. Huh?
Tense. Has become more actually more. There will be more conflict between these two countries.
Exactly.
And no one can help them to solve the conflict.
No.
We Taiwan will not say, okay, you two sit down
yes,
and talk. But we have to wait for some time until the two sides can find a way out for this disputed sovereignty issues.
Yes, and if you look back in recent history, the emergence or the rise of the United States, of course, in large part is contributed to this dominance of this, Navy, its ability to operate in the different seas and oceans around the globe. And certainly we look at the emergence of China in the last, 10 or 15 years, we look at primarily in the area of the economy. However, China in recent years with the military expansion, it is now gradually becoming more and more like a sea power in Asia, at least. We talk about the deployment of the Dongfeng 21 missile that's capable of destroying carriers, and also the possibility of China building sophisticated carriers of their own. So all these developments, of course, going to create some frictions between Washington and Taipei. How would you think, under the circumstances, will the tension besides in the area of, renminbi currency evaluation, all the other issues, will these, conflicts and also frictions between the two sides cause some tension in the region, in Asia Pacific, specifically between the United States and China?
Okay, according to U.S. estimate, China is now sea power, but a very small sea power.
Yes.
Can at most be described as regional sea power. And until they successfully construct their 3 or more aircraft carrier battle groups in the next decade, within the next decade, China may become a dominant sea power in this region,
yes,
but still has to face the competition from the United States,
yes,
and even from competition from Japan.
Yes.
According to a latest report, Japanese submarines are much better than China's in terms of quality. Maybe China has more submarines, but Japan has a more high qualified submarines.
Yes. Yeah. So would you think that with the rise of Chinese military power, and you mentioned earlier about the joint military exercises between the United States and South Korea, would you think that countries like the U.S., Japan, and Korea can come together and form a concerted policy towards the rising Chinese military power?
I think United States and Japan has established a very important East Asian strategy already.
Okay.
But now they have further strengthened their military alliance. And with the joining of South Korea, I think the main purpose of their alliance is to stop as I mentioned, the excessive expansion of China's naval powers.
Yes.
Of course, I think other than these 3 countries, the United States has a more allies, all the so-called partner countries, including Australia, Indonesia, and even India. And I think these countries may form a new, defensive chain. Instead of the first chain or the second chain. And now they form a new chain to contain China. I will not use the word congage China, not instead of containment, containing. Or congage means only one hand, the United States will continue engage China more constructively, and on the other hand, the United States will adopt the so-called hedging strategy. Now China becomes more excessive, more aggressive, more expensive. So the United States is starting to use its hedging strategy to contain China. But the engagement and the containment will be adopted at the same time.
When we look at Chinese military posture in Asia, one of the issues for those of us living in Taiwan is the Chinese missile deployment opposite Taiwan. And it's growing by like 100 per month, and then certainly now over 1,500 or 1,800, depending on the estimates, that's targeted, against Taiwan. And given the fact that recently there's been a lot of talks back and forth, Chinese defense spokesperson has said that if Taiwan adheres to the so-called One China principle, then we can sit down and talk about the Chinese missile deployment, and then also other things. Everything's on the table. Everything is possible. But the fact of the matter remains is China will claim that it is now at least a regional power. It certainly has a much wider national security interest than countries like Japan, like South Korea, or like Taiwan. Given the fact that it doesn't really look at all the missile deployment targeted against Taiwan only, how can we see China changing its military posture and make sure that neighboring countries like Korea, like Japan, like Taiwan, Southeast Asian countries also don't think the rise of China will become a military threat to all of us? Actually,
to Taiwan, I think 10 or 20 missiles and 1,000 and 2,000 missiles make no difference.
No. Yes.
Make not much difference, at least. Because for Taiwan, 3 or 5 missiles will hit the Taiwan economy. Not Taiwan's economy, but economy will break down.
Yes.
But 10,000 missiles will also crash Taiwan. But doesn't mean too much.
It's not the issue quantity.
What mean security to Taiwan is one China principle.
Yes.
But for China's sake, I think it were better withdraw their missiles along the coast provinces.
Yes.
Otherwise, other countries will think that China is a threatening power instead of a peaceful power. You cannot convince other countries say, okay, I'm a peacefully rising power without any threat to you. No. This is something impossible because you have deployed so many missiles. Of course, you can deploy missiles in the backyard, not in the coastal provinces. When you deploy missiles in the coastal provinces, United States will think that you are threatening power. Japan will think so.
South Korea
will so. Taiwan will, of course, will think so. Even it doesn't mean too much to us.
Okay. Well, we're going to take another short break on the program, and when we come back, we'll wrap up this very important conversation with Professor Chen I-Hsin from the Graduate Institute of the Americas at淡江University. I'll see you in just a few minutes.